Chapter 6. Ashtriel's Messages. Tuesday, October 7, 1913.
By the aid of others, who are with us now for the first time, we are going to try to give you a little instruction in the verities of the faith as they appear to us on this side the veil. In regard to those truths, which men have embodied in the creeds, we have little to say, for so much has been said already, that, until much has been unsaid once again, men are ill-prepared to receive what we should have to say. We therefore prefer, for the present time, to leave you to look out for yourselves, such truths as you find there, merely observing, as in passing, that all the articles are true, if rightly interpreted. We would pass on, therefore, to speak of things of which men do not consider so much at the present time. These will engage their attention the more, when they have finished their wrangling over aspects of the truth which, after all, are aspects merely, and not the fundamental truth itself. If they would endeavor to view things in a right proportion, then many of those matters which absorb so much of their time would stand to them as among the lesser things which matter little, and they would then be the better able to devote their attention to the deeper truths which are established here, as well as with you on earth. One thing it may be well to notice is the efficacy of prayer and meditation. You have already received some instruction on this subject, and we would add to it. Prayer is not merely the asking for something you wish to attain. It is much more than that, and, because it is so, it should receive more careful consideration than it has yet received. What you have to do in order to make prayer a power is to cast aside the temporal and fix your mind and spirit on the eternal. When you do that, you find that many items you would have included in your prayer drop out from the very incongruity of their presence, and the greater and wider issues become to you the focus of your creative powers. For prayer is really creative, as the exercise of the will, as seen in our Lord's miracles, such as the feeding of the 5,000. And when prayer is offered with this conviction, then the object is created, and the prayer is answered. That is, the objective answers to the subjective, in such a way that an actual creation has taken place. This does not happen when the prayer is wrongly directed. Then the projection of the will glances off at a tangent, and the effect is only proportionate to the scattered rays by which the objective is touched. Also, when the prayer is mixed with motives unworthy, it is proportionately weakened, and also meets with opposing or regulating wills on this side, as the case may require, and so the effect is not attained as desired. Now, all this may sound rather vague, but it is by no means vague to us. For you must know that there are appointed guardians of prayer here, whose duty it is to analyze and sift prayers offered by those on earth, and separate them into divisions and departments, and pass them on to be examined by others, and dealt with according to their merit and power. In order that this may be done perfectly, it is necessary that we study the vibrations of prayer, as your scientists study the vibrations of sound and light. As they are able to analyze, and separate, and classify the rays of light, so are we able to deal with your prayers. And as there are light rays with which they are confessedly unable to deal, so many prayers present to us those deeper tones which are beyond the range of our study and knowledge. These we pass on to those of higher grade, to be dealt with in their greater wisdom. And do not think that these latter are always found among the prayers of the wise. They are frequently found in the prayers of children, whose petitions and sighs are as carefully considered here as those of nations. Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God. You will remember these words spoken by the angel to Cornelius. They are often passed over without being understood, as the literal description of those prayers and alms as they appeared to that angel, and were passed on, probably by himself and his fellow workers, into the higher realms. It is as if he had said, "Your prayers and alms came before my own committee, and were duly considered on their merits. We pass them as worthy, and have received notification from those officers above us that they are of exceptional merit, and required a special treatment. Therefore I have been commissioned to come to you. We are trying to put the case as emphatically as we can in your language of official business, in order to help you to understand, as much as you may be able, of the conditions here obtaining. If you will examine other instances of prayer in the Bible, in the light of the above, you may get some glimpses of the reality, as seen by us here in our own land. And what applies to prayer also may be applied to the exercise of the will in directions not so legitimate. Hate and impurity, and greed, and other sins of the spirit and mind take on here a solidity, which is not seen or realized in your sphere, and these also are dealt with according to their merits. And, alas, those who say that angels cannot grieve, know little of our love for our brethren still battling on earth. Could they see us dealing with some of these misusings of the Father's great gift, they would probably love us more and exalt us less. Now we will leave you to consider this matter further for yourself, if you think it worthwhile. And, as we see you are willing to continue somewhat, we'll touch on another matter, which may be both of interest and of help to you. On the top of your church tower there is a weather vane in the form of a cockerel. You will call to mind that you yourself decided the form that this should take. Is not that so?
I had entirely forgotten it until you called it to mind. You are quite correct, however. The architect asked me about it, and I hesitated between a fish and a cockerel, and eventually decided on the latter. I am wondering, however, whatever you have to say of it.
No doubt. You see, these things are trifles to you, but there are few things which are trifles to us. Now, the fact that the likeness of a cockerel stands above your tower is the direct consequence of certain activities which took place in your mind 5 years ago. That is a case of creation. Many would smile at this, but we do not mind that, for we too are able to smile. And some of our smiles would perplex you, I assure you. The meaning you had in your mind, when your apparently not very important decision was made, was that all might be reminded that St. Peter denied his Lord. I suppose you meant it as a caution against the repetition of such offense today. But you did not realize that that apparently trivial decision was registered here and dealt with quite seriously. I must tell you that the building of a new church is an event which is the cause of much activity here. There are officers to be appointed to attend the services and guard the building, and a whole host of ministering spirits to be allotted to the different departments of duty in connection with a new place of worship. Your clairvoyant friends have seen some of these already, but only a very few comparatively. Every detail is considered, not only in respect of the character of the minister, and congregation, and choir, and so on, and the best among us, that is, the most suitable, chosen to help you according to the traits we observe. Not only these things, but the structure, and all structural details, are considered minutely, especially where symbolism enters in, for that has an importance, not realized among you, as it is with us. So it came about that the weather vane was also considered, and I have chosen that because of its seeming triviality, in order to show you that nothing is missed. It was decided that, as the cockerel had been chosen in preference to other symbols, we would answer that choice, according to our custom, by giving to the church some appropriate offering in response. And that offering was the church bell, for which a choir boy collected the money. You had no bell when first your church was consecrated. The bird stood aloft, but could not utter his warning as his original had done to St. Peter. And so we gave him voice, and your bell today gives tongue, as it did tonight at evensong. And we are glad to see that he who chose the one makes the other speak day by day, for that is surely fitting. Do you think we have our fancies here? Well, perhaps that is so, and yet you were thankful for that bell, were you not, good friend?
We were indeed. And I thank you for your kind message. Might I know who you are, if you please?
We are spiritual ministers, from a sphere where your own friends and mother have visited, from time to time. And she told us of you, and said how much she would like us to know you more nearly, and, if possible, to give you some message. She and her friends come to us for instruction. Speaking for my own degree, some members of which are here with me, I would say that we have been glad to come and to know you. But we knew you and your church before your mother told us.
Thank you, sir, for your kindness. Would it be permissible for me to ask your own name?
Permission certainly, but I fear you would not know it, nor understand it.
Nevertheless, sir, tell me, if you will.
Ashtriel, who leaves you with his blessing.